I just wanted to go over some other things with you and give you a chance to ask any other questions that you might have. So I'll just go through a few things and then see if there's anything that I can answer for you. The first being you've probably heard a lot of things that you want to help your student with, or maybe contact an office for them to help them get everything situated before they come to school. In order to do that, you'll need to be a delegate on their account. So a delegate just means that you can conduct business on their account for them. This is really good for students who ever take a notification of leave or a deferment. Um, because sometimes they leave the university and they're somewhere where they're not able to access all of that information or register themselves for classes for the next semester that they'll be coming or something like that. And their delegate is somebody that can help them do that. Also with like paying tuition or contacting any office on campus. If you call and ask for your students' information and you're not a delegate on their account, they won't be able to give it to you. So your student has to make you a delegate on their account, and they can do so through this myid.usu.edu. They just log in with their A number and password and then make you a delegate, and you will have access to their information and abilities to help them do whatever they need to do. So that's the first thing that I wanted to talk about really quick. I also believe it's located in your handbook. I'm not sure the exact page, but if you need that website, it is in your handbook. Um, we also did not talk about housing really at all today. We didn't have anybody from housing here to answer any questions if you do have them. So I wanted to go over a few things with that as well. Um, I don't know a lot of specifics on, or I'm not able to look up your students' information with housing things specifically. So we do have an off-campus and an on-campus housing table at the info fair that will be later today. So you can direct like specific questions to them, but if you do have any today, I can try and answer them, or right now I can try and answer them beforehand as well. But I just wanted to point out a few things on their website. So we have an off-campus housing website. The best thing on this website is our list of all available places that there are to live right now that are off campus, at least all available places that Utah State knows about and that landlords have contacted us about. So if your student wants to live in Logan and they haven't been able to find a place to live yet and they're struggling to do so, that list of housing options is really helpful, and it gives you the contact information to reach out to those people as well. They also have just good, helpful tips about living in Logan. So whether that's like dealing with landlords, dealing with roommates, parking in the winter here can get tricky sometimes because you have to move your car when the snowplow comes over and over again. So a lot of information on that kind of stuff that is very specific to Logan is also located on their housing, off-campus housing website. And again, there is a booth at the info fair about that. And then we also have an on-campus housing website. If your student is living on campus, you've probably seen this site. That's where they can log into their resident portal to see some specific information about exactly where they're living, who their roommates are, everything like that. But on just the general on-campus housing website, there's packing list information, there's payment information, and then there's very specific information about like where their roommates are and how to contact them and all of that kind of stuff. There isn't information on that website about this PO box, but I put it on there so I'd remember to tell you about it. I believe it's on page 51 of your handbooks, but let me double check. Um, yeah, 51 of your handbooks. We do have a post office on campus, and it's located on the first floor of this building. So if your students living on campus and they are getting packages sent to them, there is like a centralized location where all of those packages will go. And depending on where your student lives, they can just present their ID card and then get that package. But for both students living on and off campus, the post office has PO boxes. That's a really good option for your student. I believe your handbook says they are $30 a year. it just barely up to $50. They just changed that price. So I wanted to make that correction in your handbook if you are interested in that. But we know students move around a lot while they're in college and in Logan, whether that's different on-campus places or moving off and on campus, different things like that. So if your student doesn't want to continue to change their address every time they move on your Amazon, they can just get this PO box for the year and everything can go there while they're in Logan. So that's really helpful. Is there any questions on any of that or anything in particular that you guys, I want to open it up if you didn't get all of your questions answered today. Yeah, in the back. Yeah. Any other questions? Yeah. Yeah.
Standard size? Are they all twin size or are they the XL twin size?
That's a good question. Twin XL. It's Twin XL. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yes. So there is a parking booth at the info fair. I don't believe they're actually like selling the parking passes at the booth, but they'll show you where to get on the website to purchase those. Anything else before I move on? Okay, awesome. If you do, oh yeah. No, yeah, absolutely. Yep. And that one is super helpful. And even if your students live a little bit off campus and want to buy that one, there's, I think the panel talked about like the ag shuttle a lot that will take them from the stadium parking up to any of their classes. And so it's a super awesome parking pass to get as well. Anything else? Okay, perfect. Feel free to interrupt me or raise your hand at any time as I continue going. But first, I just wanted to show you all the steps to pay tuition, whether that's you or your student paying tuition. Just wanted to make sure that you were all aware of how to do this and how to use. It's called TouchNet is the system that we use. So again, if you need to help your student pay tuition or you're planning on doing that, you'll need their login information to get on this portal, but you will also need to be a delegate on their account to do so. So just remember that. But this is their MyUSU portal. If you've never seen this, this is where a lot of resources and like a hub for events and everything that your student will need to know is located on this portal. If they have it set up, they can add it to their shortcuts over here. But if not, it will be under this tools tab and then finances. And this is where they will go to pay that tuition. So we're going to talk about two different things today. We're going to talk about make a payment and then this account summary by term. We'll talk about account summary by term first, and that is where you will go to see what all of their tuition costs are and the exact breakdown of what that is. So if you click on account summary by term, it will take you to this page where you can select the term that you want to see, whether that's fall 2023 or a different one, whichever one you want to look at. And then it will take you to this page where you can see everything like the breakdown of tuition. The one thing I did want to point out is this holds up here. Occasionally your student may have a hold on their account that will prevent them from paying tuition. Usually that doesn't happen to our incoming students. It's more of our continuing students. But if for some reason your student does have a hold here, it will tell you exactly how to take it off here and like which department to contact or if they have to pay a fee, where to pay it, and all of that kind of stuff is we'll show you right here. And then this is what it will look down with the actual breakdown. So there's a few things that I wanted to point out here as well. The first one being this differential tuition. So most of the colleges at Utah State now have what's called differential tuition. It's not really new, but just wanted to make you aware of it. It's basically sometimes, depending on which college they're in, can make that tuition price a little bit higher. Or if they're like taking a class in a different college, that differential tuition can make the class cost a little bit more. So this is a business class that I have up here that like the student has registered for. The Huntsman College has one of the higher differential tuitions, so it raises that tuition a little bit more, but that's what differential tuition means if you're seeing that on the breakdown. The other thing that I wanted to point out is with this USU 1010 class, this class has course fees assigned to it. So if your student is in Connections, they get like the Becoming a Learner book, they get a shirt, and they get a couple of different things when taking the class. And that goes from that we take that money from the course fee in order to get that to your student. So Connections isn't the only class that has a course fee. A lot of labs have it because they need a little extra equipment, as well as some like campus rec classes if they have to pay for like the facilities that they're using in order to take that class. And so there's a lot of different reasons why a class would have a course fee, but if you see a specific class and then a fee associated with it, that's what that means. They just get a little bit extra equipment or materials for that specific class. Everything else on here is student fees. I think it's been said a couple of times, or we often talk about free resources at Utah State. They're never really free. Your students are paying for them at some point, whether it's in their student fees or in other ways. So just make sure that your students are taking advantage of all those resources and get the most bang for your buck while you're here, because they're not always free resources. But everything else in here, like the total, will show you exactly how much tuition your student will need to pay. So once you've looked at that and you understand where that tuition money is going, then we can go back to that portal and click make a payment, and it will take you here. The thing that I wanted to point out on this page is this little announcement at the top corner. So there's a couple of different ways you can choose to pay tuition, one being a credit card. If you do use a credit card, there's a 2.95% fee associated with that. That does not go to Utah State. It goes to the company that we're using to process that. Whereas if you use a bank wire or an electronic check, there's not a fee associated with that one at all. So it doesn't seem like a big fee or like big percentage to add on, but when you're adding it to a couple $1,000s of tuition, it can really add up. So I would suggest that you use this electronic check to pay tuition instead, to avoid that extra fee. But you'll come to this page, it will show you the balance, any estimated financial aid. So that includes like scholarships, FAFSA, all that will be taken off. And then it will show you the actual total here. And then you'll click make a payment, and it'll take you to this page where you can choose either that credit card or electronic check. And then once you do that, it will take you to this page where you'll put in the rest of your information so that you can pay tuition. I can't go any further than this on the screenshots without putting all this information in. So I haven't done that, but once you put all this information in, it will take, you'll click continue. It'll take you to our confirmation page where you'll confirm the payment, and then it will give you a receipt afterwards. All of your students' accounts should be up to date as of now with academic scholarships from Utah State, as well as any financial aid. So if you're not seeing all of that should be on there, you'll want to contact our scholarship office, because as of now, it should be up to date. And then our tuition payment deadline is the 16th of August. There is a calendar in the very back page of your handbook that has that date as well, in case you forget, but you won't need to pay tuition until the 16th. But you'll want to make sure that your student's account looks good and all of that FAFSA and scholarship money is where it should be, because that is updated. The other thing that I didn't point out that I should really quick is on this page, you can go to payment plans up at the top. And that will let you select a payment plan if you don't want to pay tuition all at once. And again, you'll just need to select which payment plan you want to have before August 16th, because that is the payment deadline. If you have on-campus housing or dining, this is also where you'll pay for that. And that should be added to your student's account as well. by now. You should be able to see all of their housing costs. And so you'll just go and pay that with tuition. That can be put on payment plans as well if you need to do so there. But is there any questions about paying tuition or anything like that? Yeah. Awesome. That's great for you. Yes, as far as I'm aware, you don't have to qualify for a payment plan. It's just something that you can choose to set up. I believe there is a $50 fee when setting up that payment plan that you'll just have to pay, but then there's a couple of different options of plans that he can choose from in order to pay. Yeah. No, yeah, you don't have to wait till August 16th to pay tuition. As long as everything is looking good, you can. The only exception to that is if your student is thinking about changing up their schedule at all because of those course fees and differential tuition costs. If they drop classes and add classes, they can do so. They can like add and drop classes up to like the second week of the semester. And so if they're planning on doing that, then you might just want to wait till they feel like they have a more finalized schedule to pay tuition in case those costs change. Yeah, so if your student is on a wait list, there shouldn't be like it shouldn't be showing up in their tuition until they're actually enrolled in the class. And so if they are on a wait list and they're waiting to get on, I would wait a little bit longer to pay tuition until they find a different class or they get enrolled in that waitlist class. If you have students who have a lot of waitlist classes right now, one of the tables at the info fair is helping with registration. So don't leave here today without making sure your student is, one, registered for classes, and two, feeling confident about their schedule and the classes that they are waitlisted for. Because sometimes the scheduling system that we use is a little bit tricky to navigate, and students are only waitlisted for one class, one section of a class, when we have multiple sections that they maybe could be waitlisted in. So we can look at that waitlisted class and see if there's any options available to get them in. Anything else? Any other questions? Yeah. Yeah, it really depends on the class. I would say there's a pretty high chance of getting into the class if you're on the wait list. Obviously, it's not a guarantee, but it's usually a pretty good chance, especially in an incoming student situation where they're probably taking a lot of generals. People are adding and dropping those classes all the time, as well as like we're looking at some of those classes that have higher needs and opening different sections as needed. And so even if you're not getting off the wait list, make sure you're going back and checking and seeing if there's any different sections available as well, that you could switch from a wait list of one actually into another. When your student gets a little bit higher level courses, sometimes it's trickier to get them off a wait list because there's not as many options available. But I would say that usually in an incoming student situation, it's pretty likely they'll get off the wait list. But again, just depending on the class and stuff. And the table at the info fair can give you, it's ran by our A team who are in these classes right now, and they can also give you a little more personal experience about like, yes, I got off the wait list, no, I didn't, that kind of stuff. If you guys do have any more questions, I will be just hanging out afterwards, but I wanted to put this up on the screen really quick. This is our survey for parent orientation today. Please it's like 3 minutes long, so please just take a second and fill that out. I would really appreciate it. Let us know how I'm doing, how my staff is doing, our A team members, everything like that. Well, that would be awesome. Stay connected with us, listen to the podcast that we have, join our parent network and our parent website. And then we also have Parent and Family Weekend, September 22nd through the 24th. Keep checking our website for more updates on that, of when tickets will become available and everything like that. If you have specific questions about Parent and Family Weekend, I do have more information that's not on the website, and I can take your information and make sure that you are aware when tickets are available. But again, just come find me at the end. But thank you everybody for coming today.